Thanks everybody for coming out to my ceremonial speech, my final speech for public speaking. Today I'll be talking about my dad. His favorite quote is, "A daughter needs a dad. A daughter needs a dad to be a standard on how she should judge all men." That's a quote my dad would always say to me and my sisters. My dad, Thomas Lyons, also known as Spanky, is my inspiration. He's helpful, charismatic, hardworking, and determined. And those are the things that he instilled in my sisters and myself. Those characteristics alone don't give justice to the man he is, which is why he's my inspiration. Growing up, he was the oldest of three siblings. So staying in a single family household, he was a man in the house. I would always hear my dad's cousin say, he got the name Spanky because just like off the Little Rascals, he was always doing something. And she said that everybody knew how he was, so they would say, well, don't mess with him because he'll come and beat you up. Mm-hmm. My dad has a love for dump trucks and fixing up cars. He loved dump trucks so much, at the age of 15, he had his first test drive. He and a couple of his friends took and saw some dump trucks that had keys in them in a construction site. So they cranked them up, they went down the street, pulled over to a parking lot. They laughed and everything about it. All of a sudden, the owner of the construction site and the trucks pulled up on them, had a gun as well, and said, "I'm calling the police." So they called the police, luckily, because they were underage and they had never been in any trouble. The police just escorted them home. So by him having a love of dump trucks, he actually owns his own dump truck business. He started out with one, now he has three. And a coincidence, the man he took the trucks from, he actually hauls materials for him. That's funny. My dad met my mom. Those are my sisters. My dad met my mom in February of 1984. I was only 8 months old. I know you're like, well, you said this is your dad, so, how did your mom just meet you 8 months? Well, my mom had me at 17, and by my birth father, bio dad. And ever since she dated my dad, he's been the father figure in my life. She always kidded about how they met. She said that they exchanged phone numbers. After they exchanged phone numbers, he got in the car with another girl. Yes. So she took his number and said, "I vow I'm never going to talk to him again." So a couple days later, he's like, "Well, I broke up with her, and I want to get to know you better." So mom said, "Okay." So their first date, it wasn't to Applebee's, Red Lobster. It was actually to my dad's uncle's funeral. So, and they have been in love ever since. I love my dad's helpfulness because when he was only 28 years old, he actually saved this man's life. He was working at a construction site, and he saw elderly men, walking on the site and whatnot, and a tree was swaying back and forth. So the tree started to sway back and forth a little bit harder. So my dad, by the time he got to the man, he pushed the man out. They both fell on the ground. The only thing that fell on them were branches, and they got a couple scrapes. My dad didn't want to be a hero. He was actually recognized in the paper. He didn't want to be a hero, but he said he just did what he felt was right. November is a really tough month for my family. In November of 2007, my dad lost his mom. And I get a little emotional. He lost his mom, and besides my mom and his daughters, that's the most, she meant a lot to him. Then in 2014, my uncle, it was unexpected. He got killed in a house fire. That was his brother. They were really close. It was really hard for him. But with prayer, he turned it around, and he did something that him and his brother always dreamed of, which was turning his classic Mustang into a race car. So he was determined to get that car on the track, and he did. He does go down to Benson during the summertime and races that car, which that's something my uncle, him, they love to do. So you can catch him in the wind. My dad, he's the most wonderful cook ever. And he loves to try all my different recipes. Anything I want to do, he's willing to try. And I love that. And we're working on getting our food truck business started. So you guys will be seeing us soon. I'm getting y'all to taste test. But he makes everything, you know, so much better. And he's a great papa. And I also have a stepdaughter. So I know what it's like to love a child that's not your own. So I know I don't say it much, but I love my dad.